In the case of the panic buying and hoarding, the first round, it was because when the DORSCON level was raised to orange, many people didn't understand what orange meant. They didn't understand that what DORSCON orange simply meant was that a new level of precautions will kick in. So it was really due to a lack of a clear understanding of what DORSCON orange meant, which was a useful lesson because it means that whenever we change a level, then it is important that the public knows what that level entails. So you also notice that once it became clear to them that there was no reason to panic because NTUC went and replenished the shelves very quickly, we have stocks. But when the shelves were cleared, it was a question of the logistics of getting the toilet paper, the other supplies, the rice, etc., from the warehouse to the supermarket. The second scenario you had described was the initial reaction of a small minority of people to healthcare workers, and that was really fear. Because they know that you work in a hospital, they were afraid that, you bring something and they might catch it. That was really very disappointing and unfortunate because our healthcare workers are people at the front line of the fight. They, more than anybody else, take the greatest risk. But I'm glad to say that a large majority of people didn't feel that way, and the majority of people actually pushed back. After that, we rallied people rallied around the healthcare workers. They've been coming together to buy things, to contribute food, to give moral support, write thank you cards. All of this is very heartening, and that's important because we have to support each other during this time. Yes, fear is probably more contagious than any virus. So if you want to deal with that, you have to make sure that you are armed and you have the right kind of things to get you through. And what do you need to be armed with? You need to be armed with knowledge. You need to understand the nature of the virus. So the key is understanding the nature of the problem, educating yourself with the data, and then having the courage to do what is correct. You'd only have a breaking point if something is so overwhelming and there is a pent-up need to sort of either push back or respond to that. But if you look at our experience, it's quite different. We start from the viewpoint of all along we've been preparing. All along we've been building up resources to deal with crises and emergencies. So we went through the Asian financial crisis, we went through September 11, we went through the global financial crisis, and now we have this. Our response to COVID-19 is built on years of experience, and in fact, even before the Asian financial crisis, it goes way back to independence. This is 55 years in the making, and all of those years have stood us in good stead. So what do we have today? We have a people who are resilient. We have a lot of unity. The way Singaporeans have responded in this scenario shows that if you prepare enough, if you have the right values, if you have the right strength, then you won't break. Indeed, there are. Singapore is multiracial, so there is always that possibility that you could break up according to along racial lines or religious lines. And that's one of the reasons why we work so hard at making sure that we are harmonious when it comes to being multiracial, multireligious. New fault lines in the form of social inequality, divergence between the very rich and the very poor, income inequality. These are things we have to watch, and that is why we made that one of the tenets of this term of government, to tackle inequality. That's why we introduced the Uplift program, which I chair. That's seeing how we can help disadvantaged students level up. So there will always be fault lines. There's also a sort of how do we regard foreigners coming in, and making sure that Singaporeans are taken care of. So you'll get these fault lines in other countries as well. Our challenge is to make sure that despite the fault lines, we are actually able to look beyond that, see people as they are, and build a country and a community where everyone can belong, and not just belong, but you can retain the things that are important to you, but at the same time see yourself as part of a bigger community. That is the challenge, and that's something we have to constantly keep working at. We can always do better, and that's one of the reasons why the 4G leaders initiated SG Together. Because SG Together is really an evolution of the style of governance and how we want to move forward as a people. And now with the 4G and led by Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat, we're taking the next step, which is really partnership. Partnership between government and people, because we think that plans, policies should be a result of government and people brainstorming together, working together, and also implementing things together. And when you have that kind of strong connection and interaction, it builds trust. The end product is something that everybody has contributed to, so they are invested in it, they believe in it, and they will go forward together with it.